Hello, how are you?
Good, good. It's been a long time.
Yes, I've been away from Toledo.
Uh, Welcome back.
Thank you.
Were you
How's
on
it going?
vacation?
No, actually, I was just lazy. I was lazy to watch the classes, participate in classes. I just did it the one-on-one
Uh-huh.
with my tutor. That's
Uh-huh.
all. But now I'm back.
Great, fantastic. Things have been good here. It's finally getting a little cooler. Uh, Fall is just around the corner,
Mm.
so maybe within the next few weeks, the leaves will start to change color and the weather will start getting colder. So we'll see.
Yes, here's the opposite. It's starting to get hotter.
Yeah, I know you guys are in the southern hemisphere. Is it
Yeah.
How hot does it get? It gets very hot, right, in the summer?
São Paulo can get like 30, 35 Celsius. And
Yeah, that's very,
it's
very
very
hot.
hot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Hey, Saul, how's it going?
Hi teacher, fine you?
Good, good. I'm doing well, thanks. Did
Uh,
you, yeah, go ahead.
I like your topic because I am a gamer.
You're a gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a gamer too.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So definitely violence in video games is something that I think a lot of people are aware of, and many of us even participate in this violence,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but the violence is a necessity in some games.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I personally, I think it's appropriate for people who may be older who might understand. But I think one of the biggest problems with video games is how many young people, kids like little kids, are getting exposed to the content, the the themes, the language, all of those kinds of concepts together maybe are not the best mix for children. But we'll talk about it more in today's class.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Emmy, how's it going?
Yes, hello. Good morning, good evening, I think. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, every
Good evening.
all.
Yeah.
Is it evening in all?
No, no.
Yeah, so Marcela's from Brazil, Sal's from
Yes,
Nicaragua. They're all on my side of the country, of the world, I mean.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. We are here 6 a.m. I'm so sleepy.
At the end of this month, I will change my classes to be 1 hour earlier, unfortunately, for you, Emmy, I
No,
think. I know,
yes,
because
I can't.
for me, it's so late. For me, this is very late at night. I need to in the mornings, I have things to do at 5 a.m. So unfortunately, I won't be able to do this time just 1 hour earlier. That's going to be at the end of this month. I will start that schedule. So just to let you know, if you need to change your sleeping habits, you can start now.
It's not about the sleeping habits. Oh,
I
it's
know.
about it's prayer time, so I can't. It's very hard for me.
Yeah. Well, I
Mm.
mean, the prayer time is going to change slightly each day, right? I mean, maybe by the end of this month, it's going to be. So, I mean, but at the end of this month, my class will be from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., right? And
Yes.
prayer is what time? Maybe 5:15,
It's
5:30?
5 now. It's
It's 5
at
now.
5. Yes.
When is it going to, it's going backwards now, so because the days are getting longer, right? So next week, maybe it'll be 5 minutes earlier. So 4:55, right?
And no, it will be 5, 10.
5:05, 5:10, something like
Yes.
that. Oh,
Yes.
okay, okay. Well, in that case, maybe by the end of this month we have what, another 15 days, or no, another 19
Yes,
days.
maybe next month.
Yeah, yeah, no problems. We'll be able
Mm.
to work it out. That's fine. Anyway, we were talking about prayer schedules. They change every day, so that's why we were saying, talking about that. Um, so I guess we'll wait just a couple more minutes, 3 more minutes. Did you guys do anything interesting recently? Anything fun, exciting?
About the game.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just thinking that here in São Paulo we had I don't know how to say, like a murder. Not
Oh
like,
yeah, a
not very,
murder.
it's not nice. It's not a nice news, but what police think that a young boy killed his whole family, and the reason could be because of the video game that he played. That was
Really?
Assassin's Creed.
No way.
And yeah, it was very shocking for everyone.
I play that
I
game.
still do 10 years. Yeah, I don't believe that a 10-year-old boy can kill like a mother, father, sister, an aunt, like a grandmother, like with the whole family murdered. But the the image, the security image from the street captured him going to the school after the family was killed. Then he came back to the house and killed himself. So
No
it's
way.
very, really was like in the movies, like very shocking. They
Do we
still don't know the what
Saul's
what.
gonna Saul's gonna play that game this month, I guess, right?
I think he want to kill someone.
Hopefully not.
He wanna
Yeah, I
trying
hope so. I hope we
practicing.
don't see you on the news.
No, no, no. I only want to play Assassin's Creed 2 because I only have played the one.
2 is amazing, man. 2 is very good. I played 2.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 is very good. 3 is even better.
Okay.
They
It
just get better and better.
it 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 was free to download in the Xbox Live Marker, so I am going to play.
Nice, nice, nice. Wait, Marcelo, could you send us a link to this, to maybe an
Mm-hmm.
article if you get a chance? I want to take a look
I
at
don't,
the story a little bit more because it's
yes,
fascinating
if I find it.
in a very kind of
Yes,
visceral
it's like
manner.
disturbing actually.
Disturbingly fascinating, exactly.
And the thing is that his mother and his father are were worked in the police.
No
So
way.
so they had guns at home, and the little boy knew how to shoot. That that's certain, but he killed them with a very big, I don't know the name. It's like only policemen had have, and it's very impressive because I didn't believe it at start because I could think like was like someone mandatory killing and they blame the kids. But now with these things going showing up now, I don't know what to think.
Yeah, no, that's very like such a gruesome story, you know? I mean, the entire family
Yeah,
dies and then also the child kills himself. See, that's a really
correct,
good way
correct.
of thinking about some of these things, you know, psychologically when we think about video games and when we think about just
Hmm.
violence in general, right? Violent programming. It doesn't have to be video games. It could be movies. It could be books. It could be, you know, YouTube clips. I mean, not there's no limit now. You can learn how to shoot a gun from just a video game, from, I mean, maybe
Cartoon
not,
show.
maybe, yeah, maybe even a cartoon show, right? Or at least you might not be good because, you know, to fire a weapon, you have to you have to practice, you have to train, but you have those ideas in your head. Oh, this is a gun. I can kill with this gun. I can hurt people with this gun. You know, I mean, and if you're doing it for enjoyment in the sense of a video game, psychologically, maybe your mind might get twisted. You know, in different things, in different ways, I should say.
I
So,
have
yeah, go ahead, Sal.
I have a question to Marcela. Uh, who who said the it was fault of the video game?
The media mostly at first, but because they from the positions of friends of him, people who who was in the daily habits of him, who knew him, said that he was like addicted to those video games. I think it was a way of media to explore this thing. I don't think it's because of that he killed them.
Hmm.
I hope not, because
There has to be
otherwise,
more, right? I feel there
yes, of
has to be
course,
more. It
yes, it's
can't
like
just be
more
that.
of they want to create things in people's minds, like everyone's parents now are not going to buy Assassin's Creed for their children, probably.
Yeah, I don't think so that it was full fault of the game because violence is in everywhere. Video, cartoon, video musical.
Hmm. It is really everywhere, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
It's a
something
bit
in our
like
society.
speculation.
Yeah. In any case, guys, let's get started. We'll go through our lesson and then we will start the article. So today we're going to talk about the third conditional. And how do we use the third conditional? The third conditional we use if we want to express a regret about something that happened in the past. So for example, if you forget that it was someone's anniversary, right? You could say something like, if I had known it was your anniversary, I would have brought you a gift, right? If I had known it was your anniversary, I would have brought you a gift, right? So you're expressing regret about something that happened in the past. You can't change it, but you're saying, oh, if I knew that was the case, then I would have done something else, right? And I mean, there are many examples of this, right? So for example, students, when they take an exam, they might, after the exam is over, they might think to themselves, if I had known the exam was going to be so difficult, I would have studied more, right? Or something like, if I had studied more, I would have done better on the exam, right? So with all of these sentences that I used, there is a possible, there is a theme, there is a structure. The theme is regret about something that happened in the past that is impossible to change because it already happened, right? So you're expressing regret about that. And the way that we construct this is fairly simple. It doesn't change from this formula, and it's this formula right here. So if, and then the subject, then had. So like if I had, and then the past participle. So for example, for study, it would be studied. If I had studied for the exam, comma, then the subject, then would have, past participle, right? If I had studied for the exam, I would have done better, right? And done is the past participle of uh, do in this case, I believe, or maybe, yeah, it would be the past participle of do. So I would have done better. So that is the construction of the third conditional, right? Regret about past events. So Marcella, let's start with you. Let's say that we find out that this child did actually do these killings because of video games. Okay, let's say they scientifically determined that it was video games. Then what do you think somebody could say? Maybe the media, maybe the police, maybe parents all over Brazil. What would they say about this situation? Something that's already happened in the past. How could they express regret?
If I had known that this game incites violence, I wouldn't, can be negative, I wouldn't have bought it to my son.
Absolutely. Perfect. And I
Yeah.
like how you use wouldn't, because you can make either of these negative, right?
Okay.
You can make the first part negative if you want. You can also make the second part negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's actually the second part of the lesson. So you already jumped to that part, which is really good. But, so Saul, what about you? I think you have a different take. I think you have a different philosophy about video games, right? What would you say? What would you say about the third conditional, using the third conditional, if these Brazilian investigators find out that it was because of video games?
Hmm. Um, if they found that it was fault of the video game.
Mm-hmm.
This is little difficult, teacher. um, if,
I can help you, no problems. Let's use this formula, right? So if, then the subject, then had, then a past participle. That's the first part. Then comma. The second part is subject, have, and then another past participle.
okay. If if I had known that it was fault of the video games, I wouldn't have bought that game to my kid.
Mm-hmm. Great, great, right? So a very similar idea to what we heard from Marcella. But, for example, let me challenge you, Saul. Let me challenge
Uh-huh.
you.
Yes.
Let's say that you disagree. Let's say you're somebody in Brazil who disagrees with this investigation, right? How could you say, for example, that these policemen, these detectives made a mistake, that maybe they should do this investigation a second time? Is there a way you could use the third conditional to share something like that?
Yeah. Is the policeman no, if the police had found that the game was guilty,
Was guilty, yeah.
um, uh, let me think a second.
No worries. Take your time.
I I will I wouldn't have uh, trust in them again.
Now that is good, right? If the policeman had found that uh,
That is what fault of the game.
that the game was that these murders were the fault of the game, or were as a result of this game, I would have lost my confidence or my trust in the police,
Yes, because
right?
it's not a investigation with uh, with um, with good points.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. That's a good way of thinking about that. Emmy, what would you say? I don't know your opinion about this, but tell me your opinion using these murders as the subject, and let's try to make it using a third condition.
Mm, okay, just a minute.
I know it's going to be a little bit tough, but I can help you. We can all help you.
Okay.
Yeah.
If policemen had proved that uh, violence for the kids came from the video games, then I would have mm, it's the same answer. I will not buy it for my kids.
Okay, good. It's a similar idea, right? You guys are all thinking like the parents. But let's think of it like, okay, so let me guys give you an example of what maybe what I would say, right? If I had heard that video games were to blame for the deaths of this family, I would have asked the courts to order a new investigation. Right? So something similar to that, right? So you guys were thinking children, maybe I would stop my children from buying it. Completely fine, right? But if we think about the other sense, maybe if you disagree with the way this case has happened, and I know I'm using Marcella's case for this example, but yeah, people could have asked for many different things, right? I could have asked for more evidence. I would have asked for more evidence. I would have asked for proof. I would have asked for
Okay.
things like that, right? So that's going to
Can I
be
try?
yeah. Go ahead, absolutely, yeah.
I think it's yes. I was trying to say something like that.
Uh-huh.
Okay. If the policeman said that the violence came from these video games,
Uh-huh. You forgot
I
one
would
word,
have.
Emmy. You forgot one word. So if
If
the
the policeman
policeman, and then there's
had
perfect.
Yes, if the policeman had proved that the violence come from these games,
Mm-hmm.
um, I would have asked them to give us true proof.
Absolutely. I would have asked them to give us proof of that, how they got to that result, right? Or I would have asked them to
Yes.
give us proof. Fantastic, right? So that's one way to look at the third conditional, right? And in this case, we are talking essentially about possible scenarios of the past, right? We're not expressing regret necessarily, but we are talking about possible scenarios in the past and what we would do if there was a different scenario, right? So if this had happened, I would have done this. If that had happened, I would have done that, right? That is the essence of the third conditional, right? And the second part of this is really that you can change the order of the third conditional, and you can make the second part the first part, and the first part the second part, and it's still a completely valid sentence. So instead of saying, for example, if I had known that it was your anniversary, I would have brought you a gift. That's 100% perfect. You can also say, I would have brought you a gift if I had known it was your anniversary, right? So all you're doing is switching the first part and the second part, and it's still a third conditional sentence, right? Do you guys have any questions about that so far? The construction of the third conditional, examples that we used, maybe, did they make sense? Do you guys have any questions?
No.
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 Okay. You guys are good? Okay, fantastic. I can tell with Marcella because I can actually see her, but with the other guys, I need to make sure I'm asking. So, and then, so what Marcella used was a negative form. So she said, for example, if I had known that these video games, that violence was the reason, or the game was the reason behind the killings, I would not have bought this game for my child, right? So in that sense, I would not have makes it a negative, right? And that is essentially the best way to think about it, right? So the negative construction, all we are doing is changing those key words in the sentence. If the subject had or had not, then the past participle, then the comma, right? If I had not known, comma, subject would / would not have, I would not have, verb plus the verb, bought, whatever. Or you could also say the subject plus would not have verb. Okay, this formula is really confusing. Let me break this down. It's just a big mash of letters and numbers right now. Let me break this into two parts because right now it's just massive. Forget about what I just wrote. This is one example. If I had or had not known, I would or would not have something else, right? So that's one form. The second form is just the reverse of that, right? Just the reverse. And the reverse would be I would not have blank verb. if I had not whatever, past participle. So it's the same idea, just switching the beginning and the beginning of the sentence if you make it the last part, and if you make the last part the beginning part, right? So let's talk about. So let's start with Emmy this time. Emmy, let's say you're at a friend's house, and you realize that your friend is feeling sick. She's not feeling very well. How could you use the negative construction to express regret about the past, about the fact that you didn't know that your friend was sick?
Mm. If I do you want it in reverse order?
No, you can have any order you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I had known that she was sick,
Mm-hmm.
um, I wouldn't have told her to come.
I wouldn't have told her to come.
To come. Okay.
Uh-huh. Fantastic. Fantastic. If I had known that she was sick, I wouldn't have told her to come. Right? Great job. Marcelo, you already did it once. Let's go to Saul. Saul, give me any example you want, and let's use the negative form.
Okay.
Just like we heard with Emmy.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In that grammar, if is mandatory use the had not in the first part, and would not have in the second.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you don't want to have two negatives, right? Because if you have two negatives, then it's going to get confusing. For example, if you say, if I had not known you were sick, I would not have I would not have asked you to come, right? If I had not known that you were sick, if I hadn't known you were sick. Yeah, you want to avoid those crazy scenarios, right?
Okay.
These sentences are mainly just there, like these rules are there mainly to just say that you can choose would or would not or had not, depending on whatever makes sense, right? They don't all have to be the not form for it to be negative construction. It could be just one of those choices, right?
Okay.
So I'm thinking like, if I hadn't known you were sick, I wouldn't have brought you a gift. Yeah, it doesn't make sense in normal conversation if you make them both negative, for example. It just confuses people. Because in English we don't use double negatives very often. But yeah, go ahead, Saul. I'm sorry, I'm speaking.
Okay. If I had earned money,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have bought that used car.
Beautiful. If I had money, I wouldn't have bought that used car. Fantastic, yeah. Right? What kind of car would you buy if you had money?
I guess I like a car that saw in YouTube that is a tiny car that only have space for two people, and use electric more motors to run.
Tesla?
Yeah, I guess it's that.
Yeah, the Tesla car. This is like one of the nicest. This is one of the nicest cars ever engineered, I think. It's so expensive.
Ah, really?
Yeah. I saw a Tesla in California. I was in California for a few weeks, and I saw a Tesla there. I saw the Tesla factory. So beautiful, and the cars are luxurious. I mean, they're silent. They don't make noise because they're electric, and they're so well engineered. Great car.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Marcella, I'm going to ask you. So you already made one of these statements, but I'll ask you to make one more. using the negative construction.
Okay. Oh, I'm thinking about the situation. Oh, I can't think about anything.
That's fine then. It's okay,
Give
Marcella.
give me a situation. I think it's better.
That's fine. You already gave a really good example before. I think maybe if we, after
Yeah.
reading the article, we'll have some more ideas. How about that?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right. Because I know it's getting a little late, so let's go to the article now, guys. Let me grab the article here. I'm gonna put the link for you guys in the chat window, and at the same time, let us also see if we can. I'm going to see if I can share my screen so that you guys can follow my screen as well. I'm going to read this article later. Ready? And let me know if you guys have trouble seeing the screen or getting access to the article. Okay. Do you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okie dokie. So let's get started, guys. Violent video games may curb bullying in vulnerable children, study suggests. Do violent video games trigger real-world violence? It's easy to believe that they might, especially in the wake of recent tragedies like the fatal shooting of an elderly woman, allegedly by an 8-year-old who had been playing Grand Theft Auto. But despite decades of research into the possibility that the mayhem depicted in Grand Theft Auto, Mortal Kombat, and similar games is turning our kids into merciless killers, scientists have yet to find a smoking gun. At least they haven't been able to agree which way the gun is pointing. The research has yielded conflicting results, with some studies showing a link between the games and real-world violence, and others showing no such link, Mother Jones reported in June. The American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry maintains that studies of children exposed to violence have shown that they can become immune or numb to the horror of violence, imitate the violence they see, and show more aggressive behavior with greater exposure to violence. But not everyone is convinced. Research has really not provided much evidence for links between video game violence and youth violence, at least not within general samples of kids. Dr. Christopher Ferguson, professor of psychology at Stetson University in DeLand, Florida, and a leading expert on the psychological and behavioral effects of video game playing, told the Huffington Post in an email. At this point, the evidence has pretty well ruled out the idea that video game violence causes normal kids to behave violently. The same may also hold true for vulnerable children, those with emotional and neurodevelopmental disorders. A new study by Ferguson and a colleague showed that kids with symptoms of depression or ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, who played violent video games were no more likely than other kids to become bullies or delinquents. In fact, playing the games seemed to have a mild calming effect on youths with attentional deficits, reducing their aggression and bullying behavior. A study involved 377 American children from various ethnic groups with an average age of 13. It was published online in the Journal of Youth and Adolescence. Ferguson acknowledged that the new findings might not apply in extreme cases, such as those involving youths who commit mass homicides. But, he added, statistically speaking, it would actually be more unusual if a youth delinquent or shooter did not play video games. violent video games, given that the majority of youth and young men play such games at least occasionally. Right? So, the rest of the article is actually not that important, but what we see from the beginning of this article and what this researcher, Dr. Ferguson, has been saying is kind of interesting, right? So we let's look at the most important parts of this article because it's a little bit complicated. Let's see. So the research has yielded conflicting results, with some studies showing a link between the games and real-world violence, and others showing no such link. Right? So there's been conflicting results. Also, research has really not provided much evidence for links between video game violence and youth violence, at least not within the general sample of children, right? If you take the general sample of children, then that might not be the case. And also, the guy says, at this point, the evidence has pretty well ruled out the idea that video game violence causes normal kids to behave violently. Ruled out? What does ruled out mean? Emmy, do you know what ruled out means? Or yeah, any of you guys, Marcella, Saul?
Where is the
when
word?
something is considered.
When some... I'm sorry, guys, say that again? I couldn't hear you guys.
It's like
I said that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think it's when something is taken of consideration, like they took off this idea.
Yeah, it's something you, if you rule something out, you discard it. You disregard it.
Discarded.
You disregard it. You don't consider it anymore. You don't consider it to be important. If you rule something out, it's not important, right? So at this point, the evidence has pretty well ruled out the idea. The evidence has discarded the idea that video game violence causes normal kids to behave violently, right? So this is what this guy, Christopher Ferguson, this is what his study is saying. His study is saying video game violence doesn't really make normal kids behave violently, right? And the other part of his article that's very interesting is that they talk about vulnerable children, right? What does vulnerable mean, Saul?
Children with serious problems and behavior.
Yeah.
With psychological trauma, I guess.
Yeah, children with psychological trauma, children with maybe suffering from depression. They talk about depression in this article, ADHD. You know, kids that are more likely to be maybe bullies. Bullies? What's a bully? Emmy, what's a bully?
It's word describe that children, some boys are fight with other boys at the schools without any reasons.
Exactly,
Just
right?
to say I'm stronger, I'm manager here, I'm the boss.
I'm the boss. I'm the boss. Fantastic,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, bullies, right? So they're saying these vulnerable kids who played video games, they were no more likely than other kids to become bullies or delinquents. And what's even more interesting is playing these video games seemed to have a mild calming effect on these same kids who had these attentional problems, these developmental problems, right? These video games actually calmed them down. It didn't make them more violent, it calmed them down, reducing their aggression and bullying behavior, right? So looking back at this now, what would you guys say is the real kind of problem here, right? What do you guys think maybe, you know, can we trust all this research? Can we trust all of these ideas? You know, do you think, for example, parents are ultimately the people that should be blamed for something like this, or who's to blame? Let's start with Saul. Saul, what do you think about the article, first of all?
The article said always that all the articles said, because always there are research that say yes, the video games are the guilty. In the other hand, you have the article that says that the games are are healthy. So I guess is the same thing that happened with the television.
Mhm.
If the television have violence, so the parents always are concerned about that violence. But the problem is not the television. The problem is the parents always rely on television to raise you their children.
Mhm.
So the parents should be more strict with his with their children,
Mhm.
and and I don't know how to say, and have have minus I don't know how to say have minus confidence, less confidence in the television to write to their children,
Mhm.
because I guess sometimes the parents bite against to the child and let the child play all the week that video game, and the parents take advantage of that to to make his hobbies. So they rely on that the video game is going to educate the children. That is
Mhm.
the problem. The parents need need to be more focused and educate his children, and be more in and be more careful, and when they buy a game, because the video game have a rate. I don't know how to say that, teacher.
They had
The
they have an age requirement. You can say they have a minimum age requirement.
yeah, rating of age. So the problem is, I guess, in the mall, the children said, "Oh, I want that game." And the parents only took the game and buy it, and don't and they didn't pay attention in the restrictions.
Hmm.
That is my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's fantastic summary, Saul. I mean that brings a lot of these ideas into consideration, right? Looking at the parents, looking at the effect of other media like TV, looking at the age ratings on these games. I mean, ultimately, how are these kids getting these games in their hands, right? And is it even the games? I mean, like we were saying before, TV and media always have this kind of violence, you know?
Yeah.
So so if you could place the blame on one group, Saul, who would you place the blame on? Would it be the parents in your case?
Yeah, I guess I will be the parent.
Be the parents, okay. What about you guys? Do you guys agree? Emmy, what's your thought about what we heard from Saul?
Hmm. Actually, exactly because I didn't use those games, but I see, and I don't have children, but I see my nephew. He use it, and after he several hours, he become really very very bad boy. Uh, because what's affect this violence on the children. But I think it's not just only for the parents' fault. It's only the companies because they can uh, reduce something for children and something for older people or for the youngest. Uh, but really, it's I think it's also it's something in industry or in their incomes, so they don't want children not to play these games. No, they want them not buy accidentally. No, they want them to buy it and ask parents and say a lot of um, ask parents to buy them these games. And we now in the open world. I can't stop these games. I can't give it do not or prevent children to get any games. If I didn't pay it, someone will, or they can use it from the internet.
Mhm.
It's free, I think. Maybe yes, I hear that in United States there is a lots of limitations, but no, in other world here in Saudi Arabia, in Middle East in general, no, it's anyone can take it, play it, download it. It's free, and so we don't have solutions for this problem. And I think yes, it's a very problem. And you said something, not just violence, Farhan. You said about bad words and a lots of things kids stuck stuck on,
Mhm.
or yes, they save it and memorize it and say it also,
Mhm.
uh, and do not forget the imaginations for kids are more than we think. It's
Mhm.
I think it's the reason that that boy killed their parents, as she said, because he used it's a lot of imaginations about, and he was think that he lived in this world. Um, Actually, he didn't understand what is the life was. Is it uh, are they really will die or not? I think
Mhm.
so. That's a big problem. I think.
Yeah, and
شكرا.
I like the fact that you mentioned that there are other factors, So like for example, Saul, maybe you can also speak to this. When I play a violent video game, for example, if I'm playing Call of Duty or something, I usually have a Bluetooth and I am usually swearing at my enemy. Okay? So every word that's coming out of my mouth is a bad word, right? If I get killed, if I get shot, if my buddy gets shot, I am just yelling these bad words, right? And I think I mentioned in another class that sometimes I hear that my enemies in this game are children. So they are also, just from their voices, I can tell that they're children. So I'm guilty of the same situation, right? I'm guilty maybe for teaching a lot of young kids a lot of bad words.
So it's then not the parents guilty. It's your guilty.
Yeah, it's my
It's not.
guilt.
Yes, it's
It's
your
my
guilty.
guild. It's all the gamers, right? So Saul, are you a very polite person when you're playing these games, or do you become a monster?
I am laughing right now.
I mean, I there are words that I have said on video games that if my mom knew what I said, she would kill me.
Yeah,
Okay? My mom would
I,
kill me.
I, I yell a lot,
So much.
uh,
So much.
so much. I don't know how much, but I always um curse to another place.
Yeah. So
It's
it's
a
it's
culture of video games.
it
Yeah,
is. It's a
it,
part of the
My brother
community.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the culture. My brother streams all night in the what can I say? The midnight is
I'm sorry, say that
evening.
again, Marcella.
I forgot. Like morning, evening, and then
Night?
late of night.
Just night, yeah.
More night. Just
Afternoon,
night.
morning, afternoon, evening, night. Yeah.
Night doesn't have more night. Okay, that's
Uh-huh.
my brother is always keeps until like 3, 4 a.m. yelling
Emmy's gonna
at
sue
the
us all.
yeah. If
Yeah.
you don't yell, that you don't like that game.
Yeah, that's the reality, right? If I'm getting shot, I will yell at somebody. Absolutely. And
Yeah,
it's
It's like therapy.
especially Saul, like for example, if somebody's camping, oh man, I hate campers.
yeah, dude, it are the worst.
I hate campers, and sometimes I snipe, maybe from like, I camp and I snipe. I mean, I hate campers, but I camp myself, right? So sometimes if people are always swearing at me because I'm getting like, maybe I've killed 19 guys and I haven't died even one time. So the
You're a
other,
camper.
so
You're
the
a
other,
camper.
yeah, I'm a camper. So the other team is like hunting me. They're trying to find me. They're all swearing at me, you know.
Yeah, I say, okay, I going to find that guy, and I spend all the match uh, found search searching the player.
Yeah, it's just searching for that one camper, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Another thing I want to add is the addiction to these games. It's really common in the children or even the adults. They are addiction to it. They will not. The children will not answering us if we ask them to stop,
hmm
and that's why they uh, they mad about us and بس.
yeah. I mean, there are these situations, right? So if kids are addicted, kids don't know when to stop. They don't know what the limit of this is, right? Because honestly, now if you have an internet connection, for example, during the summer vacation in the U.S., right? 3 months, no school. 3 whole months, no school. So these kids, they sit in front of their TVs and maybe 20 hours a day, some people I know, 20 hours a day, they play
Oh,
these
wow.
games, right? Just the 4 hours that they need to sleep, and maybe they're eating and they're playing the game at the same time. You know, there's no family dinner anymore. They bring their food to the in front of the TV.
Yeah.
They're eating their dinner and they're playing the game at the same time, right? Marcelo, what's your experience with this? Does your brother do the same thing?
My brother, ever
Yeah.
since PlayStation 1, he's addicted. But my mother is very strict with him, so with his studies and also, but when like vacations and things, he spends all day long on the computer.
hmm
I think it's the this new generation, but the parents has to be careful. I think because it's something that it has to be moderated. Like you don't want to leave the kid playing 20 hours in a row
hmm
because it's bad for health. I think for the view for the I think even the social behavior, the person gets like more introspective
Oh,
on people
absolutely.
more. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
think
If
it's
you're
good. It's
only
fun. Yeah.
yeah, if your only connection with other people is like me and Saul that are just swearing all the time, you're not going to be very socially, you know, sound, right? You're
Yeah,
not going
when you're with a person, you won't know what to do. Like,
how to
what
speak
am I
with
going to
them.
do? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's very true. And now, I mean, you can live online. You can live
yeah,
in Facebook. You can live in your profiles. You can live in this fake world that you create for yourself,
yeah,
right?
Yes.
absolutely.
So it's so difficult. I mean, what do you guys think? So it seems to me like in Saudi Arabia, where Emmy is from, in Brazil, where Marcel is from, in Nicaragua, where Saul is from, or in the U.S., all of these societies we share the same problem. Then it's not like there's less of this in Brazil or Nicaragua or Saudi Arabia. I think we have the same problem.
Yes. I guess the addiction of video game is a common problem. I remember that I spent a lot of time playing video games, but But nowadays, I only play the weekend in only a few hours. But
Hmm.
when but before I spend a lot of time, and I understand the parents, the concern of the parent about the addiction, because I passed through that.
Hmm. You were in that stage of your life, right, where you saw that that was the case.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time of my life playing video games.
Uh-huh.
That is why I understand the concept.
The
If
policy.
if
Yeah.
if the video game becomes an addiction, I guess it's true.
Hmm. I think
You
so too.
need
I think
you
so
need
too.
to you need to control the hours of playing of the kids.
And is that, I mean, is that something that's possible to do? I mean, people, you guys have maybe, Emmy says, your nephew, also, for example, um, Marcella, you said your brother. I mean, is it easy to control these kids? It's not, right? It's a very difficult thing.
It's like punishment. In the base of
Yeah.
punishment. And if you don't do this, you're gonna be without your video game CD. Just take it off your room.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, what's a strategy? Let's say you're a parent and your kid is addicted. What do you do? If I if my child had been addicted to video games, I would have. Let's try to use a third conditional. Oh, I mean, no, we don't have to necessarily, but you know, what would you do, Emmy, if you were a mother and your child was playing these games 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day, 20 hours a day? What would you do? Or what would you do to stop that child from even getting to that level? Is there a strategy?
Mm, I don't know.
Yeah, it's difficult, right? I mean, my
Yes.
TV, my TV, I had a TV that was, I really liked it. I bought it 9 months ago. It was my first TV. I loved it so much. Last night, it broke. Okay? It doesn't work now. So like I turn it on, it's black and it says please wait, and then it stops. It doesn't
Oh.
do anything. It turns off by itself, right? So now I had my PlayStation, I had my like everything was set up, hooked up with this TV. Now I can't do anything, right? I can't watch TV, I can't watch the news, right? What do? I'm not going to buy another TV, right? I'm going to try to fix this, or it's just going to stay like a little museum, like a relic, you know? Like this used to be my life. Now I have to find ways to get out. I mean, otherwise it's not going to make sense for me, you know? So maybe one of the solutions is no TV. No TV in the house. Some families do it,
But it's
right?
No.
hard, I think,
It is very
because the
difficult.
kids, the other
You,
Yes,
kids,
it's
is the
difficult.
problem.
you know what is the problem with that? Because if you don't have TV in your home, so your child is going to visit a friend with a TV in
Yeah,
a console, and is the same.
Hmm.
I
you're gonna be
I
bullied.
I did that in the past.
Saul knows all the secrets, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, so it can't be no TV, right? I think it has to be moderation. Honestly, I feel like it has to be controlled, but how do you control it? I mean, it's the billion-dollar question.
I think you have to talk a lot with your child, explain everything, like say that he can choose
But
TV or
they
he can
are
choose books,
bullying
maybe.
now.
It's easier.
Marcelia, they are bullying now. They will not listen. Mm, I
Yeah, they're all
think.
bullies now, right?
Yes.
So they're at
They,
that stage where they talk back to their parents.
And sometimes they say, okay, okay, just give it to me. Okay, I will do it. Okay, just few hours, just 2 hours, just 1 hour.
It's bad. I don't know.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't want to have kids.
Yeah,
Too much
struggle.
work. Way too much work, right? But in any case, uh, no other strategies. I mean, I wanted to like write down a list of all of these things that you guys suggest. All I had was no TV, and now you guys aren't helping me come up
Can I
with
say
any more
something?
ideas. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I have a teenager at
Uh-huh.
home, and this is what I did because he was playing a lot of games. He was getting really violent, screaming, yelling, not at me, but at the he was playing with other people on the internet.
Uh-huh.
So
Probably
what I
me.
did,
Probably me.
so this is what I did. I basically um, took the computer. And actually, I like the computer, and I say, you know what? You're gonna use the computer only for school, okay? For schoolwork. That's it. He got really upset. He slammed the door, but I put my foot on the floor and I say, no, this is how it's gonna be. So yeah,
Wow.
he's still upset. Once in a while, he comes to me and he says, please let me play. But I'm determined not to let him play until we find extra help, like a
That
counselor or
is
something.
that is awesome. Yes, where are you from? Would you be able to give us a little bit of background? I know you came in kind of late.
Oh, sure, sure. Well, I'm from Mexico City, and
Uh-huh.
well, I live a couple years in the U.S. in Chicago, basically.
I'm 2 hours from Chicago. I live in Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You were my
Oh,
neighbor once upon a time.
yeah, I was once upon a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm here in Mexico, enjoying my country.
You know, there are a lot of Mexican kids playing Call of Duty Modern
Oh,
Warfare.
yes, yes.
So
That's
many.
my son playing. Well, he used to play those kind of games, the war games and shooting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't mind because I like playing games myself, video
Yeah.
games. But it was getting too crazy. It was getting at the point that he was saying bad words, yelling.
Yeah.
I mean, he tried to hide it, but it was obvious because once in a while I sneak in and he was y- throwing bad words out of his mouth,
Oh yeah.
really bad ones.
I do it all the time too. I mean, I'm glad though because my mom doesn't live with me. She lives 1,000 miles away, so I can do whatever I want in my house. But no, I absolutely agree with you. We were
Yeah,
actually
I mean,
yeah
he's still a teen. I mean,
yeah
I
yeah
know he likes video games. He likes to play with other people, and that's the way he communicates. But I think for him at his age, he should be more outgoing. Out there with friends,
absolutely.
talking about, I don't know, girls, I guess.
Yeah, talking about girls, just like having fun, right?
Yeah, instead of being isolated in the computer, just talking nonsense. And the thing that worries me is that who is he talking to?
Yeah.
One time I was playing with him and I said, "Hey, how about if he said that he was playing with a girl, right?" And I said, "You don't know if it's a girl. How about if it's a guy making the voice of a girl?" And we will tease him, right? I said, "Yeah, a girl with ponytails and a big belly and wearing a yeah
Exactly. You don't
and
know who these people are. Absolutely.
yeah, it could be sexual. How you call those people that like
Uh,
to
like
molest kids?
child predators.
Okay.
Yeah, child predators. I mean, so many people. Anybody can log on, make a profile, start playing. They can
Hmm.
start making friendships. I mean, we heard I'm sure you know, like in the U.S., for example, there are so many cases in which we have these online romances, right?
Oh my
So
God.
some girl falls in love with some guy, they meet online. They have never seen each other face to face.
Yeah, you
Okay?
know what?
Yeah.
I basically here in Mexico, I can. Sometimes we get news from the U.S. and I remember, yeah, a long,
See you
long time
later, Emmy.
ago
Take care.
that
Yeah, I'm
there
sorry. Yes,
was,
go ahead.
yeah, that there was a girl that I guess something happened that she commit suicide.
Hmm.
Yeah, something like that happened. She was dating on the internet, so that's like kind of weird. How can you
It's
date on
so
the internet?
tragic. It's so tragic. How can you, like, it literally, kids are living parallel lives online now. You know, they are living a second life. They have their personal life that's in front of the individual, or in front of other human beings, and they have their life behind the computer screen. You know,
Yeah, that's
it's so sad for me. Like when I was growing up, we didn't have this internet craziness everywhere all the time, Wi-Fi, hotspot, constant connection, 3G, 4G, iPhone 4S, 5S, 5C. If you guys heard about those, right?
I don't know about all of those things you said, but
I
I'm
know, I
kind
know.
of not as smart on the technology thing.
Oh, trust me, I'm not either. But it is all around us, right? And it's something like the kids that are being born today, they will never know life before internet or life before
Yeah.
apps and
Yeah, that's true.
phones.
But you know what? I have a 5-year-old, and I'm not introducing her to the video games or anything like that. I'm, and I mean, it's been working. I mean, she's more focused on, reading little books about a princess and Once Upon a Time and things like that.
Yeah, playing with dolls or whatever
Oh
kids
yeah,
do,
she
right?
loves playing with dolls. I mean, we go
Yeah,
to the park very often, and I mean that's the way we get them to get it more excited to learn different things. Yeah,
absolutely.
and she loves. I mean, she's 6 years old. She's just learning how to read, but she likes books a lot.
Yeah.
And my oldest one was totally different. It was more video games, video games, video games, and it was crazy.
There's a mix of that. I think as a parent, I'm so happy you joined the conversation because the rest of us, we were just imagining what life is like if you have a child, you know?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Well, it's not that bad. I mean, when they get older, yeah, it gets crazy. Let me tell you that. Yeah,
yeah,
they get really moody, and I mean, I put myself in his shoes because I was his age at one time, and I was like that. So I kind of understand.
yeah. The rebellious teenager, right?
Oh yes,
Always doing the opposite of if the parents say yes, they say no.
yeah. But he doesn't say no in my face.
Oh, of
He
course. Yeah.
just nods and said, "Okay, whatever." No.
Yeah, my mom is also a very disciplinarian person, like when we were growing up, she actually never let us buy like even toy water guns. Like nothing related to guns. No water guns, no pistols, no little plastic, weapons, nothing like that. She was very anti any of that stuff, and I'm still scared of her. I mean, I'm like 24 years old, and I am so scared of her still. Like, I wouldn't say anything to her face that would make her angry
Upset.
because
She
I
will
know
slap
what
you.
happened. Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
goodness.
She would. I
Wait,
know she would.
my mother is not like that, but my husband's mother, she is like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, what? She would throw the shoe at you. You say a
maybe
bad word.
maybe at this stage she wouldn't physically slap me, but she would get angry and she would say, "You deserve to be slapped," for saying something
Oh,
like that. So she would try to embarrass me some other way, but it's yeah, just
okay.
strong mothers are very, very powerful people.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not that strong. I mean, I have tried to pretend that I wanted to hit my kid, and he's like, "What? What are you doing? Please."
It's almost funny to them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an
Yeah.
interesting thing because I know from my mom she has hit me, so I know that what will happen if I try to tease her into thinking that she won't. she won't fall for that. I think she will. If push comes to shove, she will not hesitate to slap me.
Uh,
So that's the thing. But she's definitely gotten much nicer. I used to be much more scared of her when I was a child. Now,
yeah.
same level almost. Like we're more equal. We speak to each other on adult terms now instead of
More respectful.
more respectful. Exactly.
Hmm.
Saul, what's your take on any of this? Did you want to say something?
I only want to congratulate to Jess for to be strict with her child and put the foot in the door. It was amazing.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, it was hard. I mean, I still get the bad looks and
I
the
I
rolling
know.
eyes. Ooh.
I was a teenager like like that with my mother, and I know that
Yeah.
it's difficult for the mothers
Yeah, more than
to
the
control a
father.
teenager.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm 24/7 with them, so yeah,
Mm,
it's hard. It's hard. But it's not
Yeah,
impossible because when they do good, it's that's the only enjoyment you get. You're like, okay, I'm doing something good because they're doing what they're supposed to do. At least they're not like that at school. You know, they're getting good grades. So,
yeah, that's very important. That's very important.
hmm
It's a balance, right? I think like with everything in life, I mean, it seems like being a parent is also balancing the good with the bad, the tough days with the easy days, and sometimes it's going to be difficult, other times maybe things will not be that, that tough. So, it's interesting actually. I don't know. I mean, it's fun. I think it's fun.
yeah, yeah, it is. Sometimes I have my fun times with them, and sometimes I get my what they get really annoying by me, and me too by them.
Yeah, mutual annoyance, I guess.
Right?
It goes
Yeah,
both ways.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's. I mean, when they're little, they're so great kids. I mean, you can discover things that, I mean, you can get enjoyment out of little things they do, the way they discover things, and you're like, oh my god, you can do it. But when they get older, it's like more, I guess, it's another thing.
Yeah. My parents still tell me stories when I was a kid, things I did, and I think they miss those moments. I think all parents maybe miss when their kids were young and innocent and, cute and always discovering new things. Because today, I mean, I guess after your kids grow older, that magic disappears, that magic of
Yeah,
discovery and stuff like that.
I guess it's because of peer pressure, and school responsibilities,
Yeah.
and they not. I mean, a, a year back, he was more. Um, he will communicate more with me than now. He's like, okay, you know, he was. Uh, he was in a new school and he was really anxious because he didn't know certain things, and now that he knows, he's like, okay, like I got this, I don't need you anymore.
Hmm. Yeah.
And he doesn't want to talk to me anymore about anything.
The confidence that they get, I guess, the self-confidence, yeah, to a degree, it empowers them, right? So they feel more independent. They feel more like, yeah, I can do these things by myself. Like even now, like my mom, I talk with her maybe 30 seconds each day. Hey, how's it going? Good. Oh, how are you? Good. You know, did you have dinner? Yeah, I had dinner. Whatever, I mean, very basic stuff. Like, I think that trust also becomes important when you are, or when your kids get older, you just start to trust them more. So they don't, uh, they feel more confident and you feel more confident with them. So I guess it's mutual to a certain degree, which is fun. I mean, I don't know. Before, like in high school, I would call my mom, even though I lived at home. My mom would want to know maybe, if I was late from school, why was I late from school? What happened? Everything. She wanted the full story.
Oh
Now,
my.
now I live 1,000 miles away, and I only speak with her 30 seconds. How's life? Oh, life is good. How's the weather? Oh, weather's nice. That's it. I mean,
Oh wow.
the rest of it's all just like, okay, he's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. If he needs me, he can find me.
So you don't tell her anything personal, like about your girlfriends, your friends?
She knows about like the girlfriend situation and stuff, and she's actually not very happy with like my current situation, like in terms of my friend circle and stuff like that. She knows most of my friends and she loves most of my friends, but she thinks like her view is, like my parents are from a small country called Bangladesh.
Hmm.
They live in New York, but they're very traditional, I think. So their frame of reference, their mindset is very much like my son has to have a great job, has to be making a lot of money, and then he should be thinking about a girlfriend, right? Or thinking about somebody like that. So they think 24 is too young. And I say, of course, like, I'm not saying I want to get married, but I'm saying there's somebody in my life who's important to me, right? And when I said that to my mom, she was like, oh, well, your focus should be graduate school, your focus should be getting a master's, your focus should be A, B, C, and then maybe D is getting a girlfriend. So
And you
those
gotta
kinds of
leave.
things, yeah, those kinds of things are different, between
Okay.
between the cultures. But
Oh,
I
I
think
see.
they'll understand. They'll understand eventually. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, back a year back, he was telling me things like about his girlfriends, and but now it's like, no, I don't have a girlfriend. Don't ask me that. Yeah.
even if you think he does, he's not gonna say, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I don't ask. I just say the more common questions like, "Oh, how was your day? Good. Oh, did you eat? Yes." It's just more like yes and no questions. So
Yeah, nothing descriptive, right?
yeah.
It's that's funny. I mean, it's interesting how that change happens. I don't know. Saul, I mean, how close are you to your parents?
I'm very close, very very close. My
You're very
with my
close.
mother, yeah. Basically, with my mom, she's my friend. I'll tell her anything. I mean, she helped me raise my older son because I was still a teen.
Uh-huh.
So she helped me a lot, and we go through rough times. So yeah, we were best friends.
You guys are very close to each other,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. But my brother, I have an older brother, and he's not that close. But he doesn't say his personal stuff to her. I do. I do.
It's the same way actually with my sister and me because my sister is younger, and I think
Mhm.
she's much closer to my mother. I think daughters maybe become closer to their mothers as they get older, but the sons maybe get a little bit more distant. Not
Yeah.
sure, not sure. Maybe that's the case. I mean, my mom is
Oh,
still very close to me, but she's not as close to me as my sister, for example.
yeah. But yeah, it's true because I mean now I'm a mom and my mother's a mom, so we got something that we can relate and talk about, or even she can advise me things about my kids, and and maybe that's why we relate and we get along.
Yeah,
And because I have a son and the way he thinks is different than mine, and we have little in common, so maybe that's why.
yeah, no, it
Oh.
definitely helps a lot.
And how about you and your father? Are you close to your father?
With my dad, not so much. I think my dad and I have actually become distant. Just I think because of work and just how busy we are, we don't really. It's a business relationship. It's not a personal relationship almost. Like,
Oh,
he
okay.
wants to know how if he wants to know my situation, he probably is going to ask he wants the facts, not the emotions. You know, maybe that's just because of our personalities. Maybe we just never had that connection. But with my mother, it's almost all emotions and no facts. you know. So like, how do you feel? Oh, okay. Like today, for example, I woke up at 5:30. I was at work by 6:30. I worked until 7:30 at night. So I had a 13-hour day. But I come home and I call my mom and I'm like, "Hey, mom, how's it going? My project is so difficult. I'm so tired." She says, "Okay, don't worry about it. Just go to sleep and make sure you eat." You know? So my dad would say something like, "Oh, okay, well, what is bothering you? Is it the emails that you have to write? Did you plan your schedule? Did you do your, did you make sure you contacted your,
So he's
maybe."
trying to resolve
Yeah,
the
he's
work
much more
issue.
businessy, right?
Uh-huh.
Much more businessy, much more, let me get to the solution, or what can you do to make yourself better in that position? My
Oh my
mom,
God.
my mom doesn't care.
It sounds like a boss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost like a boss, right? I
Yeah.
mean, he is also he is kind. He understands me if I say something emotional, but he that's not his focus. His focus is, okay, my son has a job, my son has work. What can he do? What's the next step of his life? How can he advance himself, right? My mom is just like, okay, my son has a job. He's far away from me. I have to make sure he eats, that he's okay, that he's sleeping, things like that.
Yeah, the motherly instinct. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you
Absolutely.
you have a really good family. I mean, you have one that cares a lot, and the other one too, but is more like focus on your career. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Even my mom, when she gets serious, she does start talking about career things like, but that's not her primary focus. Her primary focus is just, you know, make sure you drive safe, don't text when you drive, don't call,
Mm,
things
yeah,
like that. All
my
those
mom
little
is like
things.
that too.
Yeah.
She's more like how can I say this? She's more worried about mental health. Yeah, she's like, okay, don't get angry, don't get upset. Think about the nice things that are happening to your life. Don't focus in the bad. Okay, like trying to change my mood if I tell him something that I'm upset. She's like, she doesn't listen why I'm
Yeah.
upset or give me advice or tell me, oh, you can do this. She's like, calm down, everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah, staying positive, right?
And it's a good thing, but sometimes it gets really like you don't listen. But I don't say that to my mom, of course. I'm like, I like a resolution of my problem,
Yeah.
but I get like, no, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moms help. Moms do a lot. I mean, they're an irreplaceable individual, right, in our lives. We don't get to choose who they are, but after we are in this life and we are dealing with them, usually they are the most, significant individual, I think, for a lot of people because they're
Hmm.
so they're so irreplaceable. I mean, nobody else can take that position,
Yeah,
that the mother has.
yeah, it's a lot of work
A lot of work,
for
tons of work.
mothers. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
very awesome.
yes.
And in any case, Saul, my friend, you've been very quiet. How is everything going in Nicaragua? You're just listening to me here. Listening to us, I should say. Did you want to share anything, Saul? I think maybe he muted himself.
Probably.
Yeah, wasn't sure. Anyway, yes, is that your name, or would you like to be called something else?
Well, my name is Yessi.
Yesy, okay.
Yes.
My name is
So,
Farhan.
um, how?
Farhan. Just in
Farhan?
my
Farhan?
yeah, Farhan.
Farhan.
Uh,
Okay.
means happy in Arabic, actually.
Oh, okay.
So it's interesting. Maybe
You
it's a
know,
good name.
it sounds like in Spanish, Jorge. Farhan, Jorge.
Yeah,
No,
Jorge, yeah, it's a little bit similar. Absolutely,
very
absolutely.
little. What am I
Yeah.
saying?
Some people say, for example, when I was in my Spanish classes in elementary school and in middle school, they told me choose a Spanish name for this class, right? So I chose Francisco
Oh,
because it was the
okay.
closest to, I mean, I thought Fernando also maybe, but Francisco is also, I enjoyed Francisco. And in all my classes, in all my Spanish classes, I was called either Paco or Francisco, you know,
Uh,
depending
Paco,
on the
yeah,
situation.
short for Francisco
Depending on the
or
situation.
Panchito.
Yeah, yeah. It was
Yeah.
fun. I really enjoyed it. I want to visit Mexico very much. Like, I haven't been to El DF, but
Oh, I'm from there.
I
It's,
know
it's chaos here.
one of my friends wanted to go to Monterrey or Monterrey, and when he was near the border, the U.S. like Border Patrol told him, "You are crazy. Why are you driving to Monterrey from Texas?" They said you
Mm,
should not do that because if you're not aware of the situation, if you don't speak Spanish, then like las pandillas, like they will, like los narcóticos, they are just going to annihilate you because apparently they have checkpoints as soon as you enter Mexico. I think Nuevo Laredo is the state. As
mhm,
soon as you enter Nuevo Laredo and you're in like the the distance between La Frontera and Monterrey
mhm,
is extremely dangerous apparently. Like middle of nowhere, the drug dealers have their own checkpoints, they have their own security, and my friend is like, he looks like me, so he's South Asian. He's not, gringo, but
mhm.
his car was also from New York, so it had New York license plates, and
Oh.
the police said you will just become number one target for anybody who wants to rob you, steal from you, hurt you. I don't know if that's really the situation because I think they were overestimating.
No, right now the situation is pretty violent over here.
Really.
Yes, yes, and it's more in the like in the rural areas
Mhm.
is is really bad. Here in the city, well, like every day you hear bad things is like common, right?
Mhm.
And basically you get to know what happened because of the news, right? But in the rural areas, well, it's not that much. Mm, well, you don't know right away.
Mhm.
Yeah, you have to wait like a week, and then they tell you, oh, somebody died or somebody got shot, or we found three burned bodies. So yeah, it's really tough over here.
It is. It's something that I don't know. I mean, like for example, I love the culture. Like I think Indian and my parents' culture, the culture of Bangladesh is identical to the culture of India. Same food. We look the same. We speak very similar languages. We can understand each other's languages. When we compare like our societies, India and Mexico, so many things are in common. I mean, we love spicy food. We love colorful celebrations. We have a great historic kind of civilization, right? But, you know, we should really have more bridges between, I feel, our cultures because there's just so much, in common. And that's part of the reason. Like, I think if like Indian people, I think can learn Spanish very easily because we don't have problems with the pronunciation as much as maybe other people because our languages have a lot of similar sounds. We can usually pronounce the Spanish or Portuguese, not so much, but Spanish definitely. We have a better idea of how to pronounce the words. And I think, Mexican speakers of Spanish would have a very easy time learning Indian cultural words and things like that. And, so many other common things. I mean, just I don't know. I think there should be much more collaboration and you know brotherhood between these two cultures. But
Right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I would love to learn about your culture. If you say there's similar things, of course.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
I
we
would say
should.
the food is number one. Like I mean, we eat spicy food. We have great food here. And I mean, even in the United States, like I'm sure you know, like Indian restaurants and Mexican restaurants are very popular. Chinese restaurants are there. It's considered more fast food, but a nice Mexican, authentic Mexican restaurant and authentic Indian places. I mean, even in my town, I live in Wisconsin. It's a smaller city, But we have a very, very good Mexican restaurant, El Pastor. Uh, it's just like 5 minutes from here. I mean, I can walk there, and people are so nice. You know, every time I walk in, I get las flautas de pollo,
Oh.
and I get like guacamole, like whatever, like
Hmm.
anything that very kind and
Well,
generous-hearted
you're
people do.
Hispanic now then. You've been trying all the Mexican food.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many Mexican Americans in this part of the country. Like, I mean, it's so easy to just interact with the culture, and they have parades and celebrations, and they're very proud of their culture, which Indian Americans are not as much. You know, we maybe come out during maybe the major holidays or something like that, but Mexican Americans, they have parades for Cinco de Mayo. They have parades for just in the
Oh,
summer for random things. Like today is the day to celebrate our maybe something religious or something cultural, and they do a big celebration. Everybody gets involved, and it's very fun. And that's why I want to see. I want to see like DF. I want to go to like all the nice cities, and you know.
okay. Well, you know what? Here in the city, well, I live like around the city. I don't live really right there in the city. But uh, I used to work in the middle of the city, and there's a lot of people from different parts of the country. It's very diverse. You can see people from Germany, people from speaking their Germany language, or people from Japan, and Americans speaking English.
Mhm.
So yeah, you see a lot of people, or even people that stays here and they start their business, like now like a shoe store. You have um, uh, the the Chinese guy that is selling shoes, and yeah, so it's diverse here, but not it's not as where I went to Chicago. Chicago
Mhm.
is very diverse,
Oh
and
yeah,
I just
ridiculous.
stayed a couple years, so I did not um, explore around. So I
Your
visit.
English is fantastic. I mean, your English is like beyond fluent. I mean, did you speak it like regularly when you were in Chicago? And I mean, is it related to
Um,
your job maybe? I feel maybe.
yeah, it was related to my job, but I was a receptionist, and basically working with the Hispanic community.
Uh-huh, okay.
So so I really didn't use much of the speaking English. More it was Spanish, Spanish, Spanish. But
Uh-huh.
when it was time to speak with an American fluently, well, I had to
Yeah,
somehow. And because my parents they were with me, they in Chicago, so they didn't. Well, they don't speak English, so I had to do all the things for them.
yeah.
So
I mean,
I
it's
had.
it's phenomenal. You have like zero accent. I mean, your just English is like perfect. Did
Oh my
you
God.
did you take classes? Did you like learn professionally before Colingo, or like did you ever sit down and study English before? Or I mean, this
No, no. It was
that's
more
crazy.
it was more like practicing, and I did took some classes, but it was not
Nothing formal, right?
nothing
Nothing.
formal. No,
That's
no.
crazy. I thought you were like born and raised in the U.S.
Oh no, no.
Honestly, like there is zero problems with anything that you're saying. You're understanding everything. Your accent is like very, 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 very fluent.
Oh,
And yeah, I mean
well,
it's
I want to get better. This is my goal. My goal is to be an interpreter because here
wow.
in Mexico they get paid really good. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
if you
bet.
work for a big corporation, we have U.S. corporations here. I mean, the salary that you get paid here is very low, but it's something. I mean, but if I get certified to be an interpreter, I can make good money.
That's the thing. I mean, I think have you looked into the exams and things because you can be an interpreter now, I feel like. I mean, you haven't had any problems understanding me, understanding the topic, speaking with other people here. I mean, How much more do you need to study or advance before
I
you're
don't know.
ready?
I haven't searched or I haven't find any information about it because
Yeah.
here is really where I live. I mean, there's the universities or the colleges are really they're kind of expensive.
Mhm.
So there's no help at all. I mean, like financially,
Mhm.
I have bad credit, so
Oh no, that's understandable.
so
But they should be
it's hard to
offering
get
like
money to get I mean to get money borrow money
scholarships or
from
things like that. They don't have scholarships or
they do, but I have to enroll again in school and I have to pay at least 3 months the registration plus a little bit more. So
all
I
the
don't have
all
the
the
money.
associated costs. Yeah, no,
Yes,
absolutely.
so
It's expensive, but I mean, I honestly think like you are very well prepared. I mean, like if you didn't tell me you were from Mexico, like when you started speaking, I thought you were an American. Like
ah,
I know Americans who speak horrible English compared to you. Like
you mean
it's the honest truth.
white people?
Yeah, like
Oh,
white people, like I mean, I know every color possible of Americans that, and I can think of each of those examples having better English than you. At least one example of each of those. You know, an African American, white American, an Indian American, Hispanic American, an Asian American. I mean, any color of the rainbow. You know, people are living here for multiple years. They have maybe born and raised here, some of them, but they can't speak English as well as you are. I'm being 100% serious.
yeah. But you know what? The thing is that then maybe because they don't need to use the English,
Yeah,
or they're
mm,
not forced to use it. Because I was forced basically,
yeah,
because my parents they were with me, so they had a lot of little problems like we got stopped by the police and because
hmm
my parents didn't have a license, so things like that, and you have to kind of work yourself around and say, okay, I need to make myself understand.
yeah.
Like when you go to the hospital and there's nobody that speaks the Spanish, and well, somehow you have to make yourself understand.
You did a phenomenal job. I mean, I honestly, I swear to God, Yessie, I do not believe that you did not take English like multiple years in a classroom with a professor or with an instructor. It is blowing my mind right now. My parents, they speak worse English than you. My mother speaks worse English than you, and she has lived here 20 years now, and has actually studied English in school. She went to an English high school. She went to an English university, and
Hmm.
her English is worse than yours.
Oh wow.
Like
But
I
why?
swear to
I
God.
mean, she's over there and I'm over here.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, she didn't really need to use it as much, right? She
Yeah,
used it.
I think that's the main problem that
Yeah,
if you don't use it, you lose it. Oh my God, that's
absolutely. That's an American phrase right there. If you don't use it,
oh.
you lose it, right? Everything you're saying,
I
it's
thought I made up
100%.
something up.
And I mean, that's why
Yeah.
you're blowing my mind right now. Like, I honestly do not believe it. Like, you can speak to anybody in the U.S.,
Well,
and
you know what?
nobody would think that you're from another
That's
country.
kind of my goal to go back and because I have two kids and I mean the life here is a little bit hard, but it's not that bad. I mean, like I should not complain. I have internet.
Yeah,
So yes, but I do want to go back somehow.
sure thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if you can, the language is not an issue whatsoever, I think, right now. I mean, if your plan is to get better, then go for it. I mean,
Yeah, my plan
more
is to
power
get
to you.
better.
Yeah, more power to you. But I think you're at like 98% fluency. I mean, the 2%, I don't know how necessary that is. But of course, I mean, for example, maybe interpreters need to know specialized English, business English, economics English, right? Maybe those kinds of English vocabulary are things that you can focus on. Conversationally, I would say you're already at the 100% mark. I mean, if you get lost in America, you
Hmm.
can ask for directions. If you
Oh
have
yeah.
trouble at the hotel, at a hotel, at a hospital, at a clinic, at the airport, at the supermarket. You can ask and do any of those things. So you're beyond fluent necessary. You're beyond the level of fluency necessary to survive and live in the U.S. 100%.
Well,
It is.
my sister lives over there in Chicago. I mean,
Yeah.
she stay behind, and I mean, she speaks better than me. I mean,
But I mean, yeah, that's expected though because she lives here, right? So she's had to use it
mhm,
more. But I mean, the fact that you're living there and the fact that you didn't actually formally study English is still
mhm.
unbelievable for me. Like honestly,
Oh,
like
okay.
I know people that have no excuse not to learn English who have worse English than you
Oh
know.
wow.
So
Well,
that's
thank you.
why, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think how long have you been on Colingo?
Maybe a month and a half already.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. I started teaching about 6 weeks ago as well.
Okay.
So yeah, about very similar time frame. You know,
Mhm.
if you ever want to drop in on any of my classes, feel free. I would love to speak to you more about anything that, questions that you might have or, grammar or I mean just normal conversation.
You know what? When I was over there in Chicago, it's talking with someone that their English is their language. I mean, it got me really nervous,
Hmm.
to be honest. Um, so I kind of it was like, okay, wait a minute, I have to think before I talk. So they knew right away that I didn't speak English.
Hmm.
Like, okay, yeah, take your time.
Yeah.
So it's something that when I talk with someone that only their language is the English is their main language, I get really nervous because I know they're gonna think
No.
that I don't speak English.
Honest to God, I do not think you should feel even like 1% nervous if you meet somebody who speaks English. Like I swear to God, nobody in the world can say you have any problems with English. Nobody. So I mean, if you see someone who speaks English, just embrace that. See that as a challenge. Just go up to them and start speaking. Or if you see that they want to speak to you, or if you want to start a conversation, don't hold yourself back. Just go for it, right? That's the best way. I mean, when I learned Spanish, I did it the same way. Like I was the only Indian kid in my like Mexican student organization. I was the only Indian kid in like anything that we did. Like I started to embrace Mexican culture, the Hispanic culture from a very young kind of, middle school age, and I just kept it. I just kept it that way,
Oh
because
wow,
it's something I like. So
oh,
I
that's
just
really good.
so people come to me and they think like, okay, this guy's Indian, maybe he doesn't speak Spanish, but no, I think my Spanish is pretty good for a non-native speaker, so stuff like that. Like, I mean, if you don't use it, you lose it. Absolutely, like
Mhm.
my sister scored better than me on the Spanish exams for, for like university placement Spanish exams. She scored better than me, but unfortunately, her Spanish is much weaker than mine speaking conversationally because she never used it. She just
Mm.
studied it, but she never used it.
Maybe that's what happened with your mom. That
Yeah.
she was studying English.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
So maybe that's what happened to her.
Yeah.
It's all the how you call that, grammatical? No, um, all the verbs and
The grammar, the
the grammar.
writing, yeah, the
The
grammar, the
grammar.
vocabulary, right? All of that has been something that she has forgotten. She just hasn't used it. So, very
Yeah,
interesting.
they should like well, where you are, if people want to teach English, they should do this, what we're doing, like conversation classes, so
Yeah,
people can interact more and force them to say something.
absolutely, absolutely. No, that's the only way to do it. Honestly, that's the only way that we can continue to grow and learn more about each other's cultures, each other's lives and languages and stuff like that. I mean, there is no excuse now not to
Hmm.
be a global community, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
true. It's
the
true.
internet has brought us so much closer, and video and audio and YouTube and all these other things that brought so many people so much closer. So it's really not, there's no excuse. I mean, if I want to meet somebody from another culture, I can do that. I mean, granted, we have to be safe about it, right? Like you were saying, we can't just meet anybody, right? Just like with video games, you can't just meet anybody, have an online romance with anybody, right? But, as long as it's controlled, as long as it's something that, okay, this is a good forum, this is a good place, everybody comes here is serious about learning a language, absolutely. I mean, there's no better way, honestly. Like, there's no easier way. You from your house, you have an internet connection, and that's all you need. You know?
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
now things are easier for everybody,
Yeah.
to learn another language. My husband, he's from here, from Mexico, but he speaks Italian,
Mhm.
and like you were saying, right? You learn it at a younger age. I mean, you learn Spanish at a younger age, and
Mhm.
that's what happened to my husband. And I mean, he doesn't speak very fluently, but he can understand, and everybody can understand what he's saying, and because Spanish and Italian is almost similar.
Mhm. Lots of similarities. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Which I think is great. I mean, there's so much that we can learn from all these cultures. Like after Spanish, I decided that I wanted to learn something a little bit more exotic that was much closer to my culture. So,
Okay.
Indian culture. So I decided to learn Persian, Persa.
Persa.
And
Okay.
yeah, so I mean, nobody in my family speaks Persa, but I said, why not? I mean, and it's because the culture, you know, uh, Persian culture really influenced Indian culture, especially North Indian culture and Bangladesh and that part of the world. So just like kind of we can think of Spain when they colonized Latin America, similar way Spanish culture spread throughout the Western Hemisphere, Persian culture spread throughout the Indian subcontinent and Afghanistan. A lot of those countries still have very Persian influence. So I learned that language, and to this day, I practice it, with friends that I know, Persian friends here in my
Mm.
city, in the university, any chance I get, and that's why I love languages and I love technology. So like Colingo for me is not a job, it's a hobby, you
Oh
know.
wow.
Yeah, like I just love to speak to people. Like after spending 13 hours of my day today in front of a computer screen and in meetings with, people with, colleagues and talking about technology and computers all day, I just don't want to deal with the computer aspect of computers, but the human aspect of
Okay.
computers.
So what do you do? You fix computers? Or?
I do. So my job is I'm a software kind of consultant. We
Oh.
do we design software for major hospitals. We do a lot of healthcare software design,
Oh wow.
but it's like my job is more management, project management. So we do a lot more meetings and calls and meeting people face to face. But even then, I feel like I spend way too much of my time in front of a computer writing code, looking at fixes and bugs and little things like that,
Oh, okay.
instead of interacting with people. So I miss that interaction part, which is why I am crazy for conversations and meeting people on Colingo, things like that.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? I other people from other parts, especially from India, they're starting that, right? To be
Software people.
software people.
Yeah, we have a lot of that. I mean, in,
Hmm.
in in the U.S., it's almost a joke that they think that if you're Indian, you do one of three things. Maybe you have a shop, like you own a shop,
Hmm.
and like a gas station or a shop, or
Okay.
you are a computer programmer, or you're a doctor.
Oh,
It's like it's one of those three.
one of those
Um,
three. Okay.
which is funny because I happen to be in one of those categories right now. So
But
people
you're
come to me.
making good bucks, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the money is really just part of the deal for me, right? I have to enjoy what I do. So
Mm,
for me, the enjoyment is slightly decreasing now. I mean,
yeah.
long, long, long days, and I mean, I'm not getting as much satisfaction. I've been at this job for a year and a half now,
Mhm.
and in the beginning, it was like great. Everything was new. Everything was meeting new people, doing cool things. Now, sometimes it's just a drag. Like every day, I'm just like, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, not another day
Oh
of
wow.
this work, you know. Some days is exciting. Some days are exciting, but like tomorrow is going to be a long day as well, you know. So those things aren't as fun for me. But who knows? You know, we can't be complaining all the time, I guess. So just like
Yeah.
your mother says,
Mm.
we have to look at the good things in life.
I know, right? Well, my sister over there, she is a pet groomer, and
That's probably really fun.
I mean, I think she's been doing it uh for 3 years now, and she doesn't like it anymore.
Oh, really?
She's like, oh no, I don't, because she complains about their the employees and actually coworkers,
Yeah.
and and about her boss and how this other person is mistreating the animals, the dogs. So it's like, it's crazy. And she's like, oh, I want to do something else. But at first, I mean, sh- she is a she loves animals. Okay. Right now, I think she has four dogs and
Oh,
one
wow.
cat.
Oh, wow.
And she lives there in a very small apartment. But she loves her animals. And I mean, but now it's like she doesn't want to do it anymore. She's like, oh, I'm already tired of doing this every day. But she makes good money,
Yeah.
so she cannot quit because she has to pay her bills.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes necessity mandates that we do things that we
Hmm.
not necessarily like, you know,
Yeah, and I
which,
said, you over there, you can go back to school and do something with your life, something else. I mean,
yeah,
she's your age.
that's the plan, you know, same
Hmm.
thing. I mean, I would tell her the exact same thing that you're telling me, and I'm sure you have already, but, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
we should never be desperate about situations that are in our control, you know. I
Hmm.
mean, why spend life doing something you hate when, yeah, take a risk, you know, if you don't take a risk, you won't be able to change your situation at all, you know. I mean, you can continue doing what you're doing for 5 more years, but what's the gain in that, right?
Hmm.
So, yeah, I
Yeah, that's
completely
true.
agree.
That's true.
Completely agree. Anyway, yes, yeah, I know it's very, very late in
Oh
Mexico
yeah,
City probably now,
it is.
and
It is. It's 12.
close to midnight, right? Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it
Actually,
was
here is 12:05.
12:05. Okay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
very similar here. It's the same time here actually. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, but it was so great to speak to you, and I look forward to seeing you in one of my classes. I have a class every night at 10 o'clock Mexican time, Mexico
Okay.
City time,
Okay.
from 10 to 11. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, my schedule is a little bit different, but you can definitely find my classes on the website.
Okay. Yeah, usually you take classes around this time when kids are sleeping.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it'll be my pleasure.
Okay, well, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
absolutely,
the
Essie.
for making me feel good
Yeah, no,
about my English.
you're doing a fantastic job. I say
Okay.
keep up the great work. Just keep having conversations. Look to
Mhm.
see maybe what these requirements of these interpreter classes are because or these interpreter courses and certifications because
Mhm.
I
I'm
think
gonna
you're
look
ready.
into that.
I think you're
Mhm.
ready. Honestly.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that because I wanna make more money.
Yeah, no, it's a good dream. It's a good goal.
Mm. Okay, thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Have a good one,
Okay.
Essie. Take care.
Okay. You too.
Bye bye.
Okay, good night. Bye bye.
Good night. Anyway, we were talking about prayer schedules. They change every day, so that's why we were saying, uh, talking about that. Um, so I guess we'll wait just a couple more minutes, 3 more minutes. Did you guys do anything interesting recently? Anything fun, exciting?
about the game. Game.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just thinking that here in São Paulo we had I don't know how to say, like a murder. Not
Oh
like
yeah, a
not very.
murder.
It's not nice. It's not a nice news, but what police think that a young boy killed his whole family, and the reason could be because of the video game that he played. That was
Really?
Assassin's Creed.
No way.
And yeah, it was very shocking for everyone.
I play that
I
game.
still do 10 years. Yeah, I don't believe that a 10-year-old boy can kill like a mother, father, a sister, an aunt, like a grandmother, like with the whole family murdered. But the the image, the security image from the street captured him going to the school after the family was killed. Then he came back to the house and killed himself. So
No
it's
way.
very, really was like in the movies. It's like very shocking. They
Do
still
we?
don't know the what
Saul's
what.
gonna Saul's gonna play that game this month, I guess, right?
I think he want to kill someone.
Hopefully not.
He wanna
Yeah, I
trying
hope so. I hope we
practicing.
don't see you on the news.
No, no, no. I only want to play Assassin's Creed 2 because I only have played the one.
Two is amazing, man. Two is very good. I played two.
Okay.
Yeah, two is very good. Three is even better.
Okay.
They
It
just get better and better.
it 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 was free to unlock and
Of concepts together maybe are not the best mix for for children, but we'll talk about it more in today's class.
okay.
Yeah. Hey, Emmy, how's it going?
Yes, hello. Good morning, good evening, I think. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, every
Good evening.
all.
Yeah.
Is it evening in all?
No, no.
Yeah, so Marcela's from Brazil, Sal's from
Yes,
Nicaragua. They're all on my side of the country, of the world, I mean.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. We are here 6 a.m. I'm so sleepy.
At the end of this month, I will change my classes to be 1 hour earlier, unfortunately, for you, Emmy, I
No,
think. I know,
yes,
because
I can't.
for me, it's so late. For me, this is very late at night. I need to, in the mornings, I have things to do at 5 a.m. So unfortunately, I won't be able to do this time just 1 hour earlier. That's going to be at the end of this month. I will start that schedule. So just to let you know, if you need to change your sleeping habits, you can start now.
It's not about the sleeping habits. Oh,
I
it's
know.
about it's prayer time, so I can't. It's very hard for me.
Yeah. Well, I
Mm.
mean, the prayer time is going to change slightly each day, right? I mean, maybe by the end of this month, it's going to be. So, I mean, but at the end of this month, my class will be from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., right? And
Yes,
prayer is what time? Maybe 5:15,
it's
5:30?
5 now. It's
It's 5
at
now.
5. Yes.
When is it going to, it's going backwards now, so because the days are getting longer, right? So next week, maybe it'll be 5 minutes earlier. So 4:55, right?
And no, it will be 5, 10.
5:05, 5:10, something like
Yes,
that.
yes,
Oh, okay, okay. Well, in that case, maybe by the end of this month, we have what, another 15 days? Or no, another 19
yes.
days?
Maybe next month.
Yeah, yeah, no problems. We'll be able
Mm.
to work it out. That's fine. Anyway,
Hello, how are you?
good, good. It's been a long time.
Yes, I've been away from Colingo.
Uh, welcome back.
Thank you.
Were you
How's
on
it going?
vacation?
No, actually, I was just lazy. I was too lazy to watch the classes, participate in classes. I just did it the one-on-one
Uh-huh.
with my tutor. That's
Uh-huh.
all. I was, but now I'm back.
Great, fantastic. Things have been good here. It's finally getting a little cooler. Uh, Fall is just around the corner,
Mm.
so maybe within the next few weeks, the leaves will start to change color and the weather will start getting colder. So we'll see.
Yeah, here's the opposite. It's starting to get hotter.
Yeah, I know you guys are in the southern hemisphere. Is it,
Yeah.
how hot does it get? It gets very hot, right, in the summer?
São Paulo can get like 30, 35 Celsius. Maybe.
Yeah, that's very,
It's
very
very
hot.
hot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Hey, Saul, how's it going?
Hi, teacher. Fine, and you?
Good, good. I'm doing well, thanks. Did
Uh,
you, yeah, go ahead.
I like your topic because I am a gamer.
You're a gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a gamer too.
Oh, okay.
So definitely violence in video games is something that I think a lot of people are aware of, and many of us even participate in this violence,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but the violence is a necessity in some games.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think it's appropriate for people who may be older who might understand, but I think one of the biggest problems with video games is how many young people, kids, like little kids, are getting exposed to the content, the themes, the language, all of those kinds of.
It was fault of the video game.
The media mostly at first, but because they from the positions of friends of him, people who who was in the daily habits of him, who knew him, said that he was like addicted to those video games. I think it was a way of media to explore this thing. I don't think it's because of that he killed them.
Mhm.
I hope not, because
There has to be
otherwise,
more, right? I feel there
yes, of
has to be
course,
more. It
yes, it's
can't
like
just be
more
that.
of they want to create things in people's minds. Like everyone's parents now are not going to buy Assassin's Creed for their children, probably.
Yeah. I don't think so that it was for fault of the game because violence is in everywhere. Video, cartoon, video musical.
Hmm. It is really everywhere, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's
It's a
something
bit
in our
like
society.
speculation.
Yeah. In any case, guys, let's get started. We'll go through our lesson and then we will start the article. So today we're going to talk about the third conditional. And how do we use the third conditional? The third conditional we use if we want to express a regret about something that happened in the past. So for example, if you forget that it was someone's anniversary, right? You could say something like, if I had known it was your anniversary, I would have brought you a gift, right? If I had known it was your anniversary, I would have brought you a gift, right? So you're expressing regret about something that happened in the past. You can't change it, but you're saying, oh, if I knew that was the case, then I would have done something else, right? And I mean, there are many examples of this, right? So, for example, students, when they take an exam, they might, after the exam is over, they might think to themselves,
The X, Xbox Live marker, so I am going to play.
nice, nice, nice. Wait, Marcella, could you send us a link to this, to maybe an
Mm-hmm.
article if you get a chance? I want to take a look
I
at
don't,
the story a little bit more because it's
I don't know
fascinating
if I find
in a very kind of
yes,
visceral
it's like
manner.
disturbing actually.
Disturbingly fascinating, exactly.
And the thing is that his mother and his father are were worked in the police.
No
So
way.
so they had guns at home, and the little boy knew how to shoot. That that's certain, but he killed them with a very I don't know the name. It's like only policemen have, and it's very impressive because I didn't believe it at start because I could think like was like someone mandatory killing and they blame the kids. But now with these things going showing up now, I don't know what to think.
Yeah, no, that's very like such a gruesome story, you know? I mean, the entire family
Yes,
dies and then also the child kills himself. See, that's a really
very
good way of
horrible.
thinking about some of these things, you know, psychologically when we think about video games and when we think about just
Hmm.
violence in general, right? Violent programming. It doesn't have to be video games. It could be movies. It could be books. It could be, you know, YouTube clips. I mean, not there's no limit now. You can learn how to shoot a gun from just a video game, from, I mean, maybe
Cartoon
not,
show.
maybe, yeah, maybe even a cartoon show, right? Or at least you might not be good because, you know, to fire a weapon, you have to practice, you have to train, but you have those ideas in your head. Oh, this is a gun. I can kill with this gun. I can hurt people with this gun. You know, I mean, and if you're doing it for enjoyment in the sense of a video game, psychologically, maybe your mind might get twisted. You know, in different things, in different ways, I should say.
I
So,
have
yeah, go ahead, Sal.
I have a question to Marcela. Uh, who said the